Well, again, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. I need a reply. I need a reply. All right, all right. I know you're engaging in the nice lunch that's been prepared for us by the firehouse and all of that. So again, just indulge in your food, and we'll make this as much of an interactive process as possible. Again, my name is Reverend Alvin Bibbs Sr. I am the Community and Faith Engagement Officer for Together Chicago. In addition to serving on the team with Together Chicago, I have my own organization called the Justice Journey Alliance Leadership Foundation of Chicago. And so I'm the hat guy. I wear a lot of hats, but I'm all about justice. I'm all about justice. I'm a native of Chicago. I grew up in the Cabrini Green housing development. And you can't tell it by looking at me here today, but I was probably shot at too many times to count. And I've had a .357 Magnum on the side of my neck. And but it's all about God, you know. It's all about God, you know, that allowed me to transcend that community in more ways than one. There was even a situation I was beaten unconscious, laying on the pavement there as well. My older siblings were a part of those guys by the name of disciples, not the disciples we read about in the Bible, different disciples. And so because of their influence on the street, I was literally a moving target in my neighborhood. It was even a point in time where my brothers would literally clear off a basketball court and have me pick 9 guys to play with. Early on in life, I thought that was cool. I was like, man, I have the whole court. But I didn't realize I was putting my own life in danger, you know, by really submitting to that opportunity. And so through the grace of God, I was able to do some amazing things in life and in ministry to come back to the community I grew up in Cabrini, and serve for over 15 years, reaching the next generation of young people with the gospel message of Jesus Christ. And it's been a phenomenal run over these years as well. I also had a very defining moment in my life when I was a kid. The late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was in Chicago in the 60s, in 1967. And just so happened when he was here, he decided to preach at 3 different churches in Chicago. And one of those churches was right smack in the heart of Cabrini Green, was my home church, Wayman AME Church. And my parents were on the leadership team there at Wayman, found out that Dr. King was going to be in the house. And we got up super early. We had great seats, 3rd row center pew. And everybody was waiting for Dr. King to enter into the sanctuary. The place was jam-packed. People were hanging on the rafters. Hasn't been that packed since I preached there. You know, some of you got that. Some of you got that. That's good. That's good. Well, to make a long story short, Dr. King arrived and he entered into the sanctuary. My eyes were just piercing on him as I sat on my mom's lap, all of 6 years old. And it was time for Dr. King to deliver one of his prolific messages. And he was challenging the congregation to take responsibility of the community and the family and the next generation. Well, in the midst of his sermon, he pointed out in the crowd for this young child to come and stand next to him. As an example in his sermon text, young child wouldn't come forward just being overly shy, didn't want to leave the comfort of mom and dad, but that young person was me. And so at the end of the church service, I had a chance to go up and greet Dr. King with my families. Well, it was at that moment, Dr. King, who was a short, stocky guy, but he had these huge hands. It's like he can palm 2 basketballs in one hand. I mean, they were just that huge to me as a kid. Well, he turns to my parents and he said, would you mind if I say a prayer of blessing over your child's life? Well, of course they said yes, but they didn't ask me. This is 1967. I had one of those serious Michael Jackson afros. I'm holding on today, you know, I'm holding on today. Dr. King took his right hand and he placed it down on the top of my neatly shaped afro. And he said a prayer of blessing that commissioned my life to this current day. Well, when I get on the other side, I'm going to have a conversation with Dr. King because I walked around for several weeks with this imprint in my afro. And all of my friends was like, hey, Bibbs, man, why don't you do something with the fro? And I was like, no, you understand. I've been blessed by the King. I've been blessed by the King. Well, the following year, we all know what happened in 1968. My community literally went up in flames. And that was a whole nother horror story that I won't even get into. Because I remember the National Guards being called into my neighborhood, and it was just a war zone. It was a time that I would never forget as long as I live. I never thought that I was going to make it out of the community alive because of what I experienced in 1968. And as we all know, there's different parts of our country and even parts of our city here that never fully recovered from the riots of 1968. Detroit never really recovered. I mean, it's been so desolate there. It's a shame what goes on in that city. But when you look on different parts of the west side here, there's pockets of pain that are still remnants of what transpired back in 1968. And so for many years, I served on the staff of Willow Creek Community Church out in South Barrington, Illinois, literally helped to reshape that congregation from a homogeneous church to a more multicultural ministry worldwide. And then at the same time, you know, God called me into this ministry to launch the Justice Journey Alliance and partner with Together Chicago. And some amazing ministry is happening through these organizations. And so today I want to spend a few moments with you just talking about one of our pillars within Together Chicago, which is our Gospel Justice Ministry. Currently, right now, we have over 17 different Gospel Justice Centers across the city of Chicago. That's absolutely phenomenal, because I always remind individuals that people don't know what they don't know and should know regarding their legal rights. You hear what I just said? People don't know what they should know regarding their legal rights. Because I'm a firm believer, when there's no justice, there's no peace in the household. There's no peace within the soul of those that we're trying to minister to throughout the city of Chicago. There's a lot of pain, there's a lot of suffering. There's a lot of unknowns that go in that as well. But we're here as a compassionate arm and reach into our communities to provide a legal ministry unlike any other. I am so absolutely blessed and thrilled to talk about this ministry because it's a turnkey operation and how we're able to bless clients every Saturday morning in this city. All right, I came from one of our Gospel Justice Centers here today. All right, because every Saturday morning from 9 to noon, we have consultations that are taking place throughout different parts of Chicagoland. And there's a lot of ministry that goes on at these centers because as our clients walk through the doors, they're walking through the doors with a high level of anxiety and frustration. You might ask, why is that the case? Because many of our clients, they're literally sitting on these issues and thinking that they can't get resolved, number one. Number two, affordability. All right, do they have the funds, all right, to actually cover legal fees associated with having a consultation with an attorney? All right, and then number three, they believe that whatever their legal case is, that it's not going to work out in their favor. And so therefore they sit on these issues and they allow things to just kind of prolong, build up, etc., and oftentimes get a little bit worse because they don't have the level of consultation and support, all right, within their family structure. Now, on the flip side of that, there's also some presuppositions that we have to be honest about at the same time. Because within the legal industry, oftentimes many of those that are attorneys are not the best friends of their clients. Okay? That's just what it is. That's not gossip. All right? That's just reality. You know, everyone is not above board in how they're trying to serve a client to walk through the doors. Now, we all know when you walk through, or even pick up the phone and make an appointment at one of these law firms, just to make an appointment, how much typically would that cost? Anybody? Just to make an appointment? $250 or $500. Between $250 and $500, correct? All right. Within our Gospel Justice Ministry, all right, a consultation with one of our pro bono attorneys is $30. $30. And we call that a copay. We call that a copay, a dignity fee. All right? Because we're not going to offer it for free, because if you offer for free, what does that do? That robs the dignity of human beings. We're about lifting up the dignity of human beings. And so that copay of $30 for that consultation is absolutely amazing and just, you know, not even heard of when you think about it. You know, our Gospel Justice Ministry vision says, provide affordable and honorable advice and counsel to residents living throughout the city of Chicago. Okay? To provide honorable advice and counsel to residents in the city of Chicago. Now, all of our Gospel Justice Centers are in partnerships with local churches on a Saturday morning. Every single Saturday morning, we have volunteers that show up from 8:30 and they're there to about 1 o'clock in the afternoon serving clients. All of our consultations are 45-minute consultations. 45 minutes. All right? And so at the same time, all of our clients walk away from the consultations with a game plan. All right? In terms of what are their next steps along the way. So all of their legal questions are being answered in that consultation. All right? And so at the same time, what we have is what I call, 8 easy steps. 8 easy steps to launch a gospel justice center.
Are all the 17, are we allowed to talk?
Yes. Please talk.
Are all the 17 connected to a church?
Yes.
Okay.
Every single one is connected to a local church. And, we believe that the local church is hope of the world. Okay? We believe that the local church is hope of the world. And so when you look at the document that I just passed out, these are the simple 8 easy steps for a local church that has been identified, that have inquired to us about the possibility of serving as a host site. All right? And I tried to make it as simple as possible for them to get fired up and get it going. The first thing we ask for that committed host sites to do is, number one, serve as a gospel justice center. We want a commitment that you're going to open up your doors once a month on a Saturday, all right, from 9 to noon, and you as the leadership, the pastor, and your team are going to be committed to the high level of operations to function as a gospel justice center. That's step number one. Step number two, once the gospel justice center has been identified, the church has signed off from a leadership perspective, it's time to enlist the volunteers. All right? We have about 7 to 8 different roles that are necessary to operate a gospel justice center. All right? The first role for a gospel justice center is a justice champion. The justice champion is like the manager on call at our gospel justice center. They're the ones that provide the management, operation, and the shepherding of all the volunteers, make sure everybody know what they're doing. Plain and simple. Number two, we have an intake specialist. This person is responsible for inputting all of the data into our system. We have a database. We have 3 different tools that we use: GoToMeeting, Acuity, and Justice Center Online. Why is that the case? When a client walks through the doors, all right, they're going to fill out information stating exactly what their legal matters are. They're going to get a nice orange folder. This is their playbook. All right, then they're going to go back, have consultation with the attorney. The attorney going to provide additional advice, consultation, etc. They're going to come out of that consultation, come back with the intake specialist. The intake specialist is going to input all of that data, confidential data, into the system. After it's been inputted into the system, at every single one of our gospel justice centers, we have what is called, and familiar to all of us, a shredder. Yeah, we have a shredder. So after all of the information has been inputted, the paperwork goes into the shredder, except for their game plan related to next steps from that perspective. So we got to have an intake specialist. Then we have a community advocate. This leader is responsible for boots on the ground, spreading the word about the Gospel Justice Center, social media, connecting with all of the barbershops, salons, daycare centers, the schools, other churches, other institutions. We want to spread the word within that demographic exactly where the Gospel Justice Center is located and when they're in operation. All right? Because there's a different radius at all of our Gospel Justice Centers that we're trying to cover. All right? So the community advocate is absolutely critical for that function. And then we have our prayer champion, because every time we have someone come into our Gospel Justice Centers, they walk through the doors with a high level of anxiety. They're nervous, all right? And after they fill out documentation and so forth, someone is there to provide prayer for them if they so desire. All right, it's not forced upon them, but if they desire. And here's the other thing that I love about our Gospel Justice Centers, and I remind all of our pastors about this on a regular basis, that our Gospel Justice Centers is an additional outreach of the church. Why do I say that? Because every single Sunday and throughout the week, there's what's called passerbyers. they pass the church building, all right, Monday through Saturday, and never think about stepping inside of the church doors on Sunday. But if they find out that there's a gospel justice center on that campus, well, they're going to come on Saturday. It's the perfect opportunity for the leadership and the volunteers of that church to remind the client that, hey, you're part of our family now. We're here every Sunday. Bring your family. We'd love to have you come and worship with us. And you would be surprised how many stories, friends, I can tell you about individuals that walked through the doors that didn't have a relationship with Christ. After their consultation, after their prayer time, all right, with our community advocate and others, all of a sudden, they have an opportunity to receive Christ on the same day of their consultation. So not only are their legal needs being met, all right, their spiritual needs are being met at the same time. All right, this is not just some transactional process. This is transformational. It's transformation. Hear what I said? Not just transactional. This is transformational. This is life-changing in more ways than one. So we have all of these different volunteers that are serving on a regular basis. Then right after we get the volunteers enlisted, we said, look, why don't you host a vision night? All right, this is an opportunity. We encourage all of our gospel justice centers to cast a net internally within their congregation to find out if there's any attorneys that are worshiping at their particular ministry. Because we believe of the empowerment of the local church. If you have the volunteers that are internal on a regular basis serving, we want the attorney to be internal as well. But here's what happens, friends. In many of our cases, and with the churches that we're partnering with, there is something called an attorney desert. There's not many attorneys that are worshiping at the houses of worship that we're in partnership with. Well, if that's the case, we have a pipeline of attorneys that are ready and able to be placed at the various locations throughout Chicagoland. And so if you desire to serve as a host site for a church, hey, that's great. It doesn't mean that you're going to opt out if you don't have an attorney. We can provide an attorney for you. Now, the other thing that I did say that's very important, every single role that volunteers play with our gospel justice centers, everybody is trained. Everybody is trained. We're in partnership with Administer Justice, all right? And that's the headquarters. That's our main partner in Elgin. And Bruce Strom, who's the founder and visionary behind the Gospel Justice Center model, all right, they have a back office team that train all of our volunteers to serve at our Gospel Justice Center. We have a powerful 1-2 punch representing justice through our ministry of Together Chicago. It's absolutely profound. And so again, don't worry. If you don't have an attorney, we can provide one for you at the same time. You have a question? Yes.
I do. How do I know if you're in my area already?
I can actually send you information exactly where all of our gospel justice centers are located. You can take a look at that as well. But you can also go to administerjustice.org. And there is a printout on there will show you exactly where all of the different Chicago area gospel justice centers are located.
Are they also listed on Together Chicago, like on the website, or not yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. Exactly. Okay. All right. So we've had the vision night. And I've talked about the placement of an attorney. If you don't have one, we can provide one for you there as well. Then the whole process of the onboarding and on-ramping of the volunteers, we've covered that. And then we have several unique dates. We have our pilot launch. And this is where after everyone has gone through all of the training, all right, it's an opportunity, like when you go and buy a car, you do what? You do a test drive, right? You do a test drive. And so we have a mock launch that we go through. We want to make sure that all of the volunteers, the justice champion, the community advocates, the intake specialists, all of these different roles and functions, you understand exactly how to serve at a gospel justice center. And so we have a mock launch, and then we have a quick debrief after that. And then right after the debrief, we go into a live consultation the same day. And that's the month before what is called the grand opening. All right? The following month will be the grand opening for a particular gospel justice center site. And so we make sure that everything is literally a turnkey operation at all of our gospel justice centers. With that, I just want to pause for a second and say I want to try to show a video here if I can. Let's see if we could do this. If not, I'll take a pass on it. I don't think it's going to go through. Yeah, it's not going to go through, so I'm just going to keep going.
How long have these been going on? I think the 17th.
The 17 now has been in operation for about 4 years.
Okay.
About
so
4 years.
Right before COVID.
Oh yeah. We were in operation before COVID. Actually, we did a pivot like everybody else during COVID. When you look at our Gospel Justice Center model, there's 3 operational functions. We have the in-person, all right. Then we have the hybrid, all right, and then virtual, all right. And so within all 3 of those models, we haven't missed a beat during COVID. You know, clients were still being served throughout the entire year a year ago. All right, every Saturday morning, all of our sites were in full operation on a regular basis. And the other thing that I love about our Gospel Justice Centers is the sense of community that is being established by the team, but also with the community at large. Okay? All right? You can only imagine a client walk through the doors and then discovering that it's only a $30 dignity fee to see an attorney. But it doesn't end there. Check this out. At all of our Gospel Justice Center locations, we have what is called a benevolence compassion fund. A benevolence compassion fund. All right. What's your name? Yeah, I can't see that. Christy. I thought that was Christy. All right. Christy walks through the doors. All right. And she said, man, I really need to see an attorney. I have all of my documentation here, but I don't have the $30. Well, we ask a question because we never want a client to walk out of the doors because of finances. We say, well, what do you have? And they we would say, can you put a little something on it? Can you put a little something on it? They say, yeah, I can do 15. Great. That compassion fund is there to help subsidize that cost. Okay? So Christy still gets an opportunity to have her consultation. Her dignity stays intact at the same time, and she walks out of the door with tears of joy when she walked in the door with tears of frustration and sadness and disappointment. You see the transformational occurrence that happens there at our Gospel Justice Centers? All right? I mean, that's you can't get that downtown, but you can get that at one of our Gospel Justice Centers connected with Together Chicago. That's the beauty of that. The other thing that I love about it is it's neighborhood centered. I referenced that earlier. Each of our Gospel Justice Center sites, we make sure that the demographics, we have proper distance from the next Gospel Justice Center. There's no need to create competition around serving clients at our centers. All right, so we make sure that we carve out the appropriate radius in regards to the area that is going to be covered. Now, we have a site just down the street here, a new landmark, Missionary Baptist Church, Pastor Cy Fields. They just opened up here this year. And they're averaging over 4 clients every weekend. All right, we have another site in the Bronzeville community, Apostolic Faith Church, all right, with Bishop Horace Smith. All right, before COVID hit, all right, we had 3 attorneys there, and we were averaging between 10 to 12 clients on a Saturday morning. That's profound. That's just a clear reminder again of the need that exists when it comes to legal matters. Okay? All right? So it's neighborhood based. At the same time, it's rooted in the local church. See? And so we want to make sure that the members of a local congregation is being served as well as those externally along the way. All right. Now, the beauty of our Gospel Justice Center sites, we also can backfill appointments. All right. So anyone can actually go onto the actual website and make an appointment online, and you don't have to be a member of one of those particular local churches. All right. You just make the appointment on that particular Saturday, and you will be blessed and served at that particular center. All right. Now, those that make appointments online, it's a first come, first served basis and things, but we do have walk-ins as well at all of our Gospel Justice Centers. Any questions? Yes.
What about the language barrier? Because in our area, it's a whole bunch of different.
Yeah, what about the language barrier? That's a great question. We have, as part of our volunteer team, we have interpreters. We have skilled interpreters ready and able to go. So we've covered all the bases. We've covered all the bases, so there's not going to be any barriers for anyone to see one of our amazing attorneys at our Gospel Justice Center.
Is it mostly Spanish?
Mostly, but we have everything, literally.
Everything.
Yeah. We're actually in the process right now. I'm having a conversation with Park Community Church in the Rogers Park area to launch a Gospel Justice Center in that part of the city as well. So we're in the process of doing that. The other thing on that point of having interpreters and things of that nature, we have a site over in the Pilsen Little Village community as well. We have interpreters there. We have another site in North Lawndale, Trinity Galewood, which is in the Galewood Northwest side. Grace and Peace Church, Pastor Johnny Zayas and that team over there. Uptown Baptist Church is another one of our Gospel Justice Centers. Those just a few references to give you an idea of how we're scattered all over the city. We have another one in Gage Park and Inglewood, the Church of the Good News. They're doing a fantastic job over there as well. Okay. And so again, let me just kind of run through all of the different roles so that you're clear on the roles. So we have the Justice Champion, of course the attorney. Then we have the Client Advocate. The Client Advocate handles all of the paperwork as the client is going through their consultation. Then of course the Community Advocate, the Prayer Champion. I've already talked about the Client Intake Specialist. And then of course the Interpreter. Then there's a team of volunteers that is there. We have a room just like this, like a waiting area. We typically have snacks and things in there. All of that was pre-COVID, of course. Now we have all of the closed items for food and things of that nature. And then we have someone that serves as the follow-up advocate. Why is that role important, having the follow-up advocate? 10 days after the consultation, the client is going to receive a call from the follow-up advocate and to ask them questions and make sure that they have the support system in place. Is there anything that's fallen through the crack that we can help with along the way? All right. Are there any outstanding questions that we can answer for them at that time? We want to make sure that they're following their game plan. That's where the accountability comes into play. Okay, so it's one thing to come in and have the consultation with a client and attorney, but if you don't follow through, then shame on you. Then we're going to make sure to hold you accountable at the same time. Now, our officers would know this, but within our legal system here today, within court, about 90% of those cases are civil matters. About 90%. Only about 10% of that is more criminally based. All right? So our Gospel Justice Centers are primarily focused on civil matters.
You actually answered my next question.
Okay? Because once you get into that other segment of operation, that's a whole nother financial investing, side of legal issues that don't have the capacity to do that. Okay? But
examples of civil matters?
Everything from housing issues, landlord-tenant issues, child custody issues, employment issues, things along those lines. And that really kind of fires up the civil matters. But I'm going to tell you this right now, that a lot of our clients, thinking about those civil matters, they're not sure which bucket it falls in.
Right.
You see? And so we help to clarify that, for them. So that's music to their ears. When they hear that, it's like, wow, I didn't know. I really didn't know. Now they have an opportunity to find out, and we're delivering good news to them at the same time. It's a beautiful, beautiful ministry. And I tell you, we have these client satisfaction surveys, on there. Actually, I'm going to pull one up here. And every client, get these on the heels of their experience. And you can't really see it, but there's a scale. You see that? 1 through 7. All right? And you see that's all 7s. That happens every single weekend, every client. And then they have testimonials on here. And we asked them the question, what did you find most helpful in your experience with us? This individual said, how nice of an experience. The attorney was fantastic. I feel so blessed by my visit and consultation. That's a home run.
How often do you say that?
I see it all the time. And here's another question. What, if anything, would you change about your experience with us? Nothing. I mean, how often does that happen when it comes to legal matters and counsel? You just don't hear that. You don't hear that. Let's see. I got another one here. And let's see. All right. What would you like others to know about us? We always help with the best of our ability and knowledge. This is the place to come for legal matters. This is what we get through our gospel justice ministries. See, and I love these client satisfaction surveys because, again, it captures the heartbeat of the actual ministry and the interaction between the client and the attorney and the ministry of the church that we're operating in all at the same time. It doesn't get any better than that. And so, friends, when you think there's this passage of Scripture, this comes out of Proverbs, chapter 21, verse 15, it says, when justice is done right, it brings joy to the righteous. When justice is done right, it brings joy to the righteous. And so, again, when you look at our ministry, we're really serving the most vulnerable in society. The most vulnerable. Those that are hurting. Those that don't know what they need to know regarding their legal rights. Their backs are up against the wall. They have very few answers. Limited individuals that they trust. What better place than to walk through the bride of Christ, the church, to a place where you can find compassion, love, understanding, suspending judgment, but also allowing individuals to maintain their dignity at the same time. I want to walk through that door every single day. Amen. That's the best door to ever walk through. And that's what we're providing through our gospel justice ministry. And I'm going to tell you this right now. The volunteers that serve every single weekend are sacrificial servants. They got the white towel over their arm. They're showing up with love, compassion, understanding, grace, and a high level of discernment. And why is that important? Because of the confidentiality of every single client that walks through the doors. Because we live in a time and era today where confidentiality is kind of like thrown out the window. There's all kind of gossip that goes on every single day. We don't need no gossip in the house of our Lord. Amen. And we need to have individuals understand this is a place of love, all right, and confidentiality regarding my legal matter. I don't need no one else in the church to know about it. I don't need my neighbor to know about it, all right? I don't even want my pastor to know about it because it's confidential, see? And these are the testimonies that we have that show up week in and week out at our gospel justice centers. And so we're looking to enlarge our tent on a regular basis because there's different pockets around Chicago that needs a gospel justice center. Right. Just like we have at New Landmark, just like we have at the Jesus Word Center, just like we have at Uptown Baptist Church. I mean, the list goes on and on. We're not done. We're just scratching the surface in regards to how many of these gospel justice centers we want to have each and every year. Yes, Kristen?
Is Progressives part of it?
Yes. Progressive Baptist Church, yeah, yep. Pastor Charlie Days. Yep. Exactly.
This seems to open doors to possible trauma. Like, like when you're talking about family issues and marriage things, and is that part of it too? Like ongoing either counseling referrals or Like, what do you do with that?
Yeah, that's a great question. How do we handle referrals? There's a couple of different ways that we handle referrals. We have, through our administrative justice partner, we have a referral system for clients that need to go to the next layer of operation in their consultation. Okay? So we have that layer of support there. Because we are a ministry, all right, we are connected with a network of different not-for-profit organizations and faith-based groups that we can refer clients to based upon family needs as well. So all of our clients, they're being served holistically at our gospel justice centers. They don't realize they're going to receive, all of the goodies that they're going to get when they walk through the doors, but they're blessed by this information because, again, they don't know what they didn't know when they walked through the doors. Now they're part of the larger Together Chicago family, and we're there to serve them humbly and gracefully and lovingly throughout the process and walk with them from beginning to end as well. So we just don't have them go through the consultation and give them their playbook, their orange folder, and say, God bless you, we wish you well. That's why we have the follow-up advocates to make sure that if there's a referral need in some other family matter along those lines, we are there for them. Now, the other question that was surfaced in regards to criminally based issues, if someone comes through our doors and make an appointment and they have that particular legal matter on their heart that needs to get resolved, we don't turn them away. Well, we welcome them in, and we have a consultation to find out what's going on, and we figure out the best referral system and way to guide them and direct them. All right? Now, that's out of our wheelhouse, okay? All right? But we have a system of direction, all right, to guide them along the way. Because, again, we have a larger family of services and connections that we can leverage as a ministry and organization. You can't get that downtown.
Amen.
But you can get it at the local church where a gospel justice center is in operation every single Saturday morning. We're even in Bucktown, and Bucktown is moving fast, a lot of things going on in Bucktown. But we got Covenant Presbyterian Church right there, serving clients every Saturday morning. So if you don't have a gospel justice center at your church, you got to talk to me at the end of this workshop. We got to get them in place as soon as possible because legal matters are mounting.
And if they have an attorney in their church,
yes,
that needs to be serving.
That's right. Yeah, we always trying to fill the pipeline of attorneys on a regular basis. We get them through our training system, etc. Now, here's one other important matter about the attorneys. I have to make this point. We have our pro bono attorneys, all right? But a good portion of our attorneys, there are Christian attorneys, okay? All right? There may be a handful that are not, but they're bought into the spiritual realm of what we're doing, all right? So we're clear on that. Now, the other thing about our attorneys, when they show up on Saturday morning, they're not doing this. They're not headhunting. See, I saw the reaction over there. They're not headhunting. They're not trying to fill their database, all right, with clients that they can milk. That's different. See? We have credible, loving, authentic, driven attorneys that are there for Saturday morning to serve our clients. Now, if they decide on their own, if they want to go to the next leg of the race to support one of our clients, etc., they understand the conditions. See? They understand the conditions. And they understand the level of care that we're trying to provide. We're not trying to provide a system where clients walk through the door and they get taken for this long ride that they was not expecting. That will not happen on our watch. Plain and simple. And that's crystal clear at every single one of our gospel justice centers. Doesn't get any better than that, my friends. Amen. You have a question right over because I know we're right at our time.
Yeah, I was just wondering how you vet that. How do you make sure? But I'm sure you guys have a system. Right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, all of our attorneys are vetted. Yeah, we have a solid system through our back office team with administrative justice. Everything is classified and cleared, through our training process, et cetera, et cetera. Anyone that shows up on a Saturday, they've been vetted to the core, down to the skin of their meat of their bones. And so there's nothing going to get past us in the process.
Good. And then we have lawyers that they might be in different fields of law. Can they also participate, or does it have to be in specifically civil?
Yes. Any and every field is welcome. And oftentimes it comes down to the comfort of the attorney as well. Because some attorneys look at the situation, you know what? I don't feel I have the level of expertise to be as much of a blessing to the ministry as you would like. It's like, no. The majority of our attorneys, once they're in place, they realize that it's pretty much entry-level legal kind of matters, especially on the civil side. So they're really not that complex, all right? They may be a little messy, when you start getting into the landlord-tenant issues and things like that, because that can just pull your hair out your head, sometimes, Praise God, we got to pray for the tenants, we got to pray for the landlords, we got to pray for everybody inside of that particular complex. So that can be a little bit messy. But again, basic matters are being covered, and their skill, their training, their expertise, they pretty much can cover the gamut of what's coming through the doors with our clients on a Saturday morning. So I can't recall a Saturday morning where we had an issue that an attorney couldn't answer the question. Yes?
Which brings me to immigration. Do you have anything for the immigration community at all?
Yes, at our Pacific sites where we have high Hispanic operations and so forth, there is someone there that would actually serve and assist them in immigration matters as well. And of course, with our back office team at Administered Justice. And like I said earlier, there's very few matters legally that we can't cover on a civil matter through our ministry. Yeah.
Another question.
Sure.
Aside from the $30 for the dignity fee, if the client comes in and whether they're employed or unemployed, does that make a difference of how they go through your system at all?
No. Every client that walks through the doors are welcome. So it doesn't matter if you're employed, unemployed, receiving workers' compensation. It doesn't matter. Every client matters to our gospel justice ministry. So it doesn't matter your status of employment, anything along those lines. Right. And so you can be a full-time employee. You still walk through the doors. It's $30. Right. So there's no particular sliding scale based upon income and things along those lines. Yeah. It's all about blessing the client that have a legal need. You can't get that downtown either. Okay? Can't get that downtown as well. Any other question?
No, I'm just so encouraged. I mean, that's awesome. 4 years, 17. That's amazing.
Yeah.
God bless it.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and the thing about it as well, the commitment by the local church. Our church partners and the pastors, they're absolutely amazing. I mean, just the time that they put in and month out, on a Saturday morning, of all days. And you think about the attorneys, that's been, grinding all week with a variety of different cases and things of that nature. And they show up with smiles on their faces and ready to go, just ready to go. And I just love that because I travel all across the city, on Saturday mornings. I get up 7 o'clock, I'm out there, I'm all over the place. But at the same time, when I walk through the door, everybody's pumped up, and they pump me up. I'm like, man, justice is happening today. Justice is happening today. And they're high-fiving each other and blessing the client, praying over them. And again, you're seeing the tears go down the cheeks, of our clients because wow, I didn't know that there was an answer for this. I didn't know I was going to be blessed, in this way. And then when they fire up that client satisfaction survey and we get that news on a regular basis, we go, wow, this ministry is making a tremendous difference. And it's transformational, not transactional. It's the gospel of Christ at work for such a time as this. And we're so blessed and so grateful to be able to do this together as families, as partners in the city of Chicago, the city that we all love. And families have a lot of needs, and we're there to guide them in a very loving, compassionate, and caring way. So if you don't have a gospel justice center today, you can have one within the next month. All we got to do is talk. Let me know what your church is, And we can make it happen. And oh, I have to say this too as I close. This is very important. I can't forget to leave this out. At all of our Gospel Justice Center, we cover all of the liabilities. Okay, all of the insurance liabilities, the malpractice, the premise insurance, all of those things are covered because that's important. That raises the bar, all right, on every level for the local church and also for the attorneys. They want to know you got the malpractice covered, the premise insurance covered, the liability, all these things, all of that is covered. So what does that do? That takes a load off the shoulders of doubt about them being fully present to serve. You see, that's beautiful. So we haven't left any stone unturned when it comes to the gospel justice ministry of Together Chicago. Thank you so much for your time here today. You've been a fantastic group, and this is Pastor Adam. You've had a chance to see him all day as well. You know.
Well, I just want to say, this guy and I have known each other a long, long time, and have had privilege to serve together in other ministries. But he's, you know, in our Together Chicago team, you know, there's stars and then there's all stars. This is one of the all stars.
We won't tell the others.
This is one of the all stars. When I first met him, I thought he was Scottie Pippen. Seriously, because when we first met, it was during the reign of the Michael Jordan and Pippen and company. And and I thought he was Scottie Pippen when I first met him. But anyway, I just thank God for him and the work that he does and the passion that he brings to this work. Part of it comes from lived experience, right? Growing up in the Greens. But he loves Jesus, he loves people, and he loves to make sure that gospel justice happens on a regular basis. So, love you, brother. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
That's my man.
All right, friends.
We call him the A-Train.
That's the A-Train. Choo choo. Choo choo. Any closing question before anybody go? Anything? Okay.
Thank you.
All right. My information is on the flyer there at the bottom that I passed out there as well. So feel free to reach out. And I'm here to serve. And if you just have questions, whatever, or even exploratory opportunities, you know, just let me know. I can come to your church and meet with the pastor and the team, and we can kind of take it from there. Okay? All right. Thank you all. Okay.